directly to money.
Okay.
It will take money to help the woman who has survived to come to a place whereby she can sit like I am and to actually be able to move on with her life in whatever scars that she may bear. I bear the
And
scar
you
on
bear
my lip,
them.
13 sutures, right? Unless we are prepared to put our money where our mouth there. Now, the Honorable Justice George, our Chief Justice, in 2006, and she continued to champion that we need to have a business coalition on domestic violence. She was specific. She said, just like how the HIV fight was one, you had so much money. Remember, we
Yes.
were able to arrest what was happening in our society with the public health scourge HIV because we put monies. You had the Clinton Foundation, you had PEPFAR, Global Fund, you
Everything.
name it. Everybody came together to address HIV and AIDS. And Justice George, all credit due to her, has been calling for a business coalition on the because we all know where the problem lie. The woman who you see may go to the court tomorrow and say to the magistrate, look, I no longer want to pursue this case. It's because she's trapped in an economic dependency. This man brings in the money. So if I am no longer I'm not getting an income, how do I survive? That is the number one question women ask, and financial security is important to women. How do I survive? I was blessed. I am blessed. My aunt said, you want to live in my house? And all I had to say was yes. And the doors opened. And I stayed in that house for 8 years. How many families are prepared to do that? We have the family system that needs to be more loving. You know, some families get fed up every minute, especially if they talk to her about this man and she goes back with him. Families tend to get fed up and drop you.
Because they're only human.
I fully understand, but then you have to also look inside of what is happening. Battered women syndrome is real psychologically. And the woman most times who's battered, she doesn't see what you're telling her. She doesn't see that it is time to leave. She tries until one day something happens and she says, enough. I know of women who I've helped escape. And they said, look, enough. I am leaving. And then we must be careful, my dear sister Malika, when we're going to leave. It is not wise to tell the man you are leaving. It is very unwise, and some women want to say, well, you know, I got rights, I should tell you. No. My grandmother handed down a formula. I used that formula, and that's why I'm alive today. You don't say you're going, you just disappear. Disappear. Do not say to the man, I am leaving you. Many women have died by telling the man this. It is alleged that there was an argument in the vehicle with the captain before the murder happened. And Rihanna, sensing that something was amiss, perhaps picked up the gun. Perhaps she knew, perhaps she was even threatened before with this gun. I will do this and this and that. You understand my point? It is alleged that she was having a fear, and we call it. So I'm going to ask the question, is blow a reason for women to lose their life? If I decide that I don't that I want to have a little bit of fun on the side, and I decide to go out and cheat, does that warrant my life to be taken from me? This is the real question here.
Of course it does. Nothing warrants that. You did not give life. Nothing on the face of this earth warrants that. You walk away from if this woman is cheating, you walk away. I put it this way, whether man or woman, whichever, because men cheat, women cheat. These are the facts. This is the reality we're living
Women
in.
kill men when they cheat?
No, they don't. And this is where I'm coming to now. Any sex, this is just to pause this for a bit, this particular
Sure.
issue for a bit. Any sex, any man or woman, and I'm talking to even those young persons who may just, I know you're supposed to be in school right now, but you may just happen to be at home for whatever. You're growing. This is what life is made of. I'm not saying it's right, it's okay. Men cheat, women cheat. I like to put it this way. You roll up in your ball for a week or two at home or wherever in your own private space and you cry it out. You cry it out and eventually you grow. You get over it and you move on. You kill a person, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting families. You're hurting your children in the case if you have children. It, to me, is less energy and less stress for you to roll up in a ball and cry for a few weeks if you have to, months if you have to, and then you get up and you move on and you live again.
You've offered a very good solution. But remember, bad man don't cry.
Well, there you go.
Right? When you're a bad man, you don't
Yeah,
cry.
because this is what we teach our boys.
Yes, because we women, in our socialization process, have taught the boy child that if you cry, you're a girl. Well, I haven't done that to my son. So he's allowed to cry. So there are times I say, boy, look, cry it out. It's better for you to cry because crying actually heals.
Yes,
it gets
does.
rid of the rage that you feel. So cry it out. I've said to my son that if you and someone can't make it, well, you have no right. Whatever she does is her body. The fact that women are seen as property. So when a man is with you, he thinks he owns your vagina. It belongs to him. So whatever you do with that vagina, this is she gateway. So you hear Cartel would sing this song, she gateway.
Yeah.
She gateway. So it's this thing that hits them to the core that this vagina is mine. I own it. And if you think that you're going to give it as you please, well, then I'm going to stop you. And my way of stopping you is that you're not going to live. But they're also killing themselves. Not many men will have stayed alive like the one yesterday who got charged and remanded for murder. They are killing themselves along and leaving children as orphans. So we have a new set of orphans in our society who have been orphaned because of murder. The father killing the mother and then also taking his life.
This might come off the wrong way, but viewers, bear with me here. You have already taken the wrong route. You took this woman's life. Then, like you said in the song, bad man don't do this, bad man don't
cry.
Well, then bad man should stay and face. At the end of the day, you're still no good to that child or children because you're a criminal. You're now a murderer. You have to face that. Why kill yourself? I don't know in terms of your experience in counseling and talking to people. What is your spin on that now? Why commit suicide?
I think they see suicide as a way out of the pain that they're feeling. You see, listen, blow, really, look at me. If the worst thing you can do to a man is to give him blow, it drives him to the point of madness, whether it's momentarily or he trips forever. But in that fit of rage that he takes her life, when he actually calms down in his calm moment and recognizes that he killed the woman that he professed to love, he no longer wants to live. Nothing matters anymore. Well, she is dead, I'm dead too. You know, there are vows when you take it as marriage, until death do us part. So there are some silent vows that are taken even when it's not legally done. When we look at the murder of Stretch the Dollar, Berbice we're going to, that man who was known in the community, people were shocked because there were men or boys he spoke to that looked up to him. And when he killed his wife, they were in this point of separation. And I think he lured her back to the home for something. And then he killed her. And then he ran into them. Remember, he and the police had a standoff. And when they hearing gunshots and all of that, this time he was harming himself. All right? So my ex used to say something. It goes back to this very saying that if a man says this to you, Malika, he's actually telling you that there's some part of him that is not prepared to let you go. If I can't have you, nobody can have you.
That's a threat.
It is, but we women see it as a love. So we go, we tell our girlfriends, hey, oh, you know, my man tell me last night if he can't have you, no man can. And so she feels this sense of happiness and jubilation, you know, that this man is so into her. But when love turns to obsession, it gets deadly. And this is what we're actually witnessing. And so men are not prepared to accept blow. And we must have a national conversation that deals with infidelity. I want the conversation to switch from just talking about you have to talk about the things that makes the man annoyed and angry, because in most cases he kills in that fit of rage when she dizzy. You understand what she do to me, sister with all me investment, with all this and all this stuff. I experienced a man coming to give violence in the health center and duck from a cough. When he said to me, this is the girl, it's just she alone, I just did it, just he's explaining to me why he's behaving like he come to beat her up in a public place.
Question though, but I understand what you're saying, but if we're going to switch the conversation, or don't let's say switch, add the conversation, aren't we also becoming part of the problem, whereby we're allowing explanations for the reason why, and in a sense excusing it?
Well, you may put it that way, but I want to put it in the real realities whereby blow is happening. Look, it is happening. I, as a clinical social worker, I can tell you stories, I can't call names. But you think this blow thing easy? You got to talk to some taxi drivers. As we are speaking, the blow happening. If you go to the sea walls, you see some car park up. If you go to the gardens, because some of the blow don't go to hotels because of who the persons are. So they take the blow. And if you do a study on sex, you'll find that cars is a very nice place where most cheating happens in cars. Some babies are procreated there too. But in the vehicles, you'll find it. So cheating is something that is happening. Wife cheating on husband, husband cheating on wives. Why don't we want to have a conversation? Why is it that we are uncomfortable? Because this is what I found. People are uncomfortable to discuss or to talk about the reality that is actually happening, and they see it. That's what you say as trying to execute. Oh, so we're going to talk about this thing, and it is happening. So we need to talk about it.
Interesting that you want to talk about it too, because I was listening to a radio conversation a few weeks ago, and I heard a man call in and say this, because the topic was, how do we eliminate violence against women? And a man called in and he said, listen, and of course, viewers, I'm going to just break it down the way we speak outside of the studio. He said, listen, look, I got my woman and ting. I don't knock shit, man. I should knock woman. Yeah, he's give my woman 1 and 2 blow and ting. But I don't knock shit. Now, again, interesting that you want to talk about the reason, but here we have, and he's not the only person I've heard, make a comment like that, but here we have somebody saying, look, it's okay to cheat on a woman to cheat on a man, or a man to cheat on a woman once you don't hit her.
I'm going to say this. It is okay for the man to cheat.
Not the woman.
No, not the woman. Even women will sanction you. Even your own women will sanction you if they know that you cheat on your man. Because man a gallus, it is expected that the man must cheat. Remember, we put labels on women who are deemed promiscuous. Why is it that we are so uncomfortable if a woman says that she have 3 boyfriends? All of a sudden, you want to label her negatively. But if the man who have 3 girlfriends, well, he's a sweet man. Yeah, right away we do it. We have the label. So what is acceptable for a man to do is not acceptable for a woman, and we must look at that from that very standpoint. And as patriarchy demands that women submit at all times. There's no time that she can be seen to be taken this playing a man. She submit. There's a way she sit. There's a way she speak. All right? Everything she does is in submission. And when we look at religion, look, the majority of us pray to male gods. Who do we pray to? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The Lord's, we started. The majority in Hinduism, you have female deities, Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati. But even in Hinduism, there's heavy patriarchy. So we pray to male gods. Male gods are seen as punitive. Our laws are fashioned after religion. more so, Guyana inherit laws that are from the Christian church out of England. And so in this whole line of demarcation, it tells you what must happen to women. It prescribes what must happen to her should she violate. If we go right back to Emperor Constantine, who burnt his wife as an example of what must happen to women. So we are seeing a patriarchal whole society that will turn. I will tell you this, if it was that men, if I had on this paper here that I have here, 10 Guyanese women murdered in 5 months. If you had 10 Guyanese men murdered in 5 months, you would have had more action. I'm just telling you this. No
I'm
disrespect.
inclined to believe with
No
that.
disrespect
I agree
to
with
the
that.
no disrespect to the men who lost their lives during the pirate attack. But did you see how fast the pirate attack, those men who lost their lives and action that was taken for the men who lost their life, flags flown at half-staff and all of that? Look, we have got to get serious. We have a Ministry of Public Security that must get an F when it comes to tackling the issue of violence against women. We have a minister who is more excited and jubilant about noise nuisance. He has admonished, and listen, I by no means am championing noise. I would like the Minister of Public Security, please allow me to ask him to exhibit the same passion. And you put policemen and women out there to do the same type of robust advocacy to stem the tide of violence against women. What has been his action since he has been there as relates to women? Do you know some of the things that he has said? I don't want to repeat it. But it shows that he is totally clueless, not prepared perhaps to take the bull by the horns, because this is what is needed. If we are going to tackle the issue of eliminating violence against women, 3 ministries have to work together: public security, public health, and social protection. Do you know we have a national task force on domestic violence that is absolutely non-functional because ministers who are supposed to be leading it is not doing their job? It's a dereliction of duty. This is how we're failing the women. We must have preventative action. This here in my hand was to prevent. Medicine is preventative and curative, my sister.
What more can you do to get, because I agree with you, all 3 of these ministries need to work together. First off, I'm going to ask you, what more can be done to get, in the event that they don't understand the seriousness of it, to get all 3 of these ministries and the ministers responsible to work, to do whatever else can be done to stop this scourge, or at least ease it. I'm not saying that we want it to continue, but again, we have to be realistic to stop the scourge. And apart from that, even before you answer that question, how do we get, or in this case, of course, since you talked about the Minister of Public Security, how do we get the Minister of Public Security to intervene in a manner that, I know the argument here is going to be that the ministers are not really supposed to get their hands in day-to-day operations, and in this case, the police of force. But how do you get him to, however, intervene to create some sort of training program or training programs to get police officers, because this is still happening, to get police officers to stop saying, we don't get a man in a more fight?
Again, he has to show the leadership. The minister was very vocal yesterday on this campaign as it relates to noise nuisance. He has not been vocal on the incidents of violence against women. He says many things. One thing he did when he first came to office is to bring the party-done curfew, and he says it will help domestic violence, etc., etc. However, he has not made any concerted effort to actually ensure that there's a preventative arm, that there are programs, that there are things actually being done to stem it. And if he's doing it, he needs to show it. It's not being shown. I know that there's a focal point person there, my colleague over at Public Security, and all they're doing is coordinating and putting things. Again, more of this.
Paper.
We need action. Without action, women will continue to die. When this was done, there was actually a national committee for the prevention of interpersonal violence that functioned. So you had a prevention arm functioning. However, government changed and it died away. Mm-hmm. He can resuscitate it, he can call it something different. But you must have, and if you look at these recommendations, law enforcement, everybody met around this table. Mm-hmm. I sat on this committee representing the Women and Gender Equality Commission. Another way to make our government or the state act, because the state have a responsibility to protect women because we signed on to CEDAW. CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Mm-hmm. And my dear sister Malika, violence against women is the most pervasive form of discrimination. Because again, you cannot name me 3 men. I asked you just to name me 3 men. Just name me 3 cases for 2018 whereby we see men have lost their lives in the same brutal fashion. All right? Mm-hmm. There is an optional protocol that we must advocate the government sign on to. What it does is let's just say I went to the court and I got no justice and this happened. Then I can now plead my case all the way to the UN. Okay. You have to get a bigger body that is willing to impose sanction. You see, unless something serious will happen, men will act. You know why this thing continue to happen? The Domestic Violence Act has no teeth. I often refer to it as being impotent, absolutely impotent. Men will act when things that will actually strike at them. Mm-hmm. You strike the pocket, you sanction economic, something. Mm-hmm. There's no compensation there for women who have been survived and have broken limbs for them to, nothing happens. Nothing at all. So women are still left beaten up, maimed, whatever. If we look at the Williamson, that young lady who was scalded so badly.
The the acid victim.
Yes, that she had to get corrective surgery, right? It is kind people. Where in the system is there help for someone like that? I have advocated to the former President Donald Ramatar for a survivors fund for women who have survived and who are desirous of escaping. We have got to do real, tangible things. It's like I asked the Catholic Bishop Aline, Brother Lachman Singh, and Father Montrose from the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. I asked them a very clear question. I said, if now at this time, and I looked at my watch, it was like 11:30. If at that time there is a woman who called the church to say, my life is in danger. Mm-hmm. I need somewhere to go. Do you have a home to put them? That was the first question. Can they come to your home? This is what we're dealing with. Can they come? Because when you need an escape, you leave everything. You don't study but no material things. Just study but your life and disappear. You can buy back material. You can buy back your life. Okay? Mm-hmm. You cannot buy back your life. So you've got to. So real tangible things needs to be done.
But I really want to get from you. I want to come back because viewers, we just have like about 6 minutes or so, and you probably wonder what's viewers, you probably wonder what's happening. Because Sunday is International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and not only because it's that day, and Ms. Cole herself can tell you, I've been trying to get her on this program for a very long time, but because it's such a big issue. We decided to take the entire hour. I know you're usually accustomed to me splitting in half and dealing with 2 topics, but we decided to take the entire program to do this. I did ask you earlier, Ms. Cole, because I really want to come back to this. How much more effort and what can society do as a whole? Because I know some people would say, well, that's not our job. That's their job. That's why we elected them. But what do you feel needs to be put in place to bring public security, I think you said social protection, and the other ministry together to see how best what can be done, even though I did say earlier I think as people, individuals, ourselves, we need to do as much as we possibly can. But at the end of the day, we will still look to those who make the policies and, you know, those who enforce the policies. What can we do to have these three ministries coming together to ensure that we find some sort of solution to at least ease what is happening in terms of our women being beaten or killed, and the fact that at the end of the day, those who are harmed the most are, as you put it, the orphans left behind.
We've got to ensure that the system that they already put in place functions. Okay. We need to have the National Domestic Violence Task Force function. Okay. We must ask the question, why isn't it functioning? You see, when it functions, all those ministries are there, you know, on this task force. So, yeah. Okay. You meet around the table and you talk. So all of them are there. So why isn't it functioning? And so if we have the systems that are in place, Guyana is not devoid of laws. We are A1 when we come to having the laws there. What we are absolutely in dereliction is implementing those laws. So why isn't the task force functioning? Why is it that we have government ministers who know that it is their duty? The Domestic Violence Task Force, I think, is chaired by the Minister of Social Protection, who's the Chief Whip. Okay. Come on, it needs to function. And I am not attacking the government. No, I am a survivor of domestic violence. I've lived it. And so when I speak from a survivor point. I may be more passionate because I've survived. But I survived because there were systems, family system that work. Until now, the state still is in abdication of what is supposed to work. Can they prefer a reason? Let them ask them, why isn't the National Task Force on Domestic Violence functioning? Mm-hmm. Why isn't it? Because if the task force functions, then we will get things moving. When I speak to Miss Doris, who is the head of the Sexual Policy and Domestic Violence Unit, she cannot go further because her boss is the minister. So there are things that sit and wait. It calls for just empathetic leadership. Don't you love women enough? Aren't they valuable enough for us to want to actually do something? Every year we're going to continue to talk. We are 21. The year ain't finished yet. God forbid we have a spate, because remember, Rosemary Ruther and Rihanna Payne died within 24 hours of each other. Yes. One was Good Friday night, who got strangled, and then the 14 gunshots was on the Saturday, just after Good Friday. 30th, 31st of March. Haven't we lost enough women for there to be action?
Ms. Cole, I am so elated to have had you accept our invitation. Unfortunately, our time is almost ended. I want to say thank you so very much for coming and sharing your views, for saying how you see it.
And I hope the government doesn't feel they're being attacked. I just want the system to work.
Everybody who watches this program knows where my political heart lies. I'm basically in the belly of the current administration. So if I am here and, I am facilitating this conversation, and even before I invited you, I know you speak frankly. There are women in the government. We are women. This is affecting us. And I keep saying, and the last time we had, this public outrage, and I think it was in the same case with Ms. Rihanna Payne, one of the things I said on social media is, we scream to the top of our lungs. We talk about it when a woman is killed, and then we forget that again, the way you put it, the orphans are left behind. And imagine you growing up, becoming a teenager and going to school. Oh, yeah, I remember she father, they killed Shamar.
They will hear. They will hear
about it. So, again, regardless of which political side of the fence, and I'm talking about you, Ms. Cole, and you didn't come here to bash or to beat up. You're speaking about what is happening. And again, I am a woman. So I do appreciate you being frank. I want to say good luck to you in everything that you're doing. Women and Gender Equality Commission viewers, we didn't even get to talk about the commissions themselves, but eventually we'll have you back.
Sure.
I want to say congratulations to you. The fact is that you're out there and you keep putting it out there, even though sometimes we say we're fed up of the talking and the talking. But I want to say thank you so very much for coming. It really was a pleasure talking with you. And again, I've learned a lot, learned so much. And even though I'm in this space where I'm adamant that women can stop this on your views, I'm happy that you shared all of your views
women
and you
can
put
stop
forward
it, but when a woman's in love, Listen to R. Kelly. When a woman loves.
I think the next time we have her back, we're going to
She
have her
loves
doing
for
some
real.
singing. Viewers, unfortunately, that is all the time I have with you this week. Just some quick housekeeping matters before we wrap up. Remember, we just have a few more programs left for the year, meaning Facing the Nation. We just have a few more programs left for the year before we wrap up for the year and take a break. Of course, as I always remind you, everyone takes a break. So Facing the Nation needs to take a break too. But of course, we will be back in the middle of January. But again, I'm not saying goodbye as yet. We have a few more programs left in the year. Those of you who were praying, I know I told you that as far as I know, the little